Princess Diana captured the world's heart with her grace and compassion, but beneath the public admiration was a personal quest for true love. From her troubled marriage to Prince Charles to her deeply private romance with heart surgeon Hasnat Khan, Diana's emotional journey was marked by a longing for genuine connection.
She wanted to marry someone who had the same humanitarian outlook as her. Not in a Harry and Meghan kind of way, but in a very simple way. She wasn't going to talk in riddles, and she wasn't going to give a lot of speeches about what she was going to do. She was going to get out in the field and do it.
This story explores the layers of her life, revealing how Diana sought normalcy and affection in a world dominated by scrutiny. Her relationship with Khan, far removed from the public eye, offered her the sincerity she craved, while her highly publicized romance with Dodi Fayed masked deeper heartache.
Her soulmate was Hasnat Khan, the heart surgeon, not Dodi Fayed.
Diana's tragic death shocked the world, but it also marked the end of her search for peace and love. Her legacy, particularly her relationship with Hasnat Khan, remains a poignant reminder of her desire to live beyond the glare of fame.
I personally think that Diana fell in love with Prince Charles. It's obvious to me that she was a young, naive girl and she fell in love with the prince. Now, if you watch that piece of footage when Prince Charles is asked, "Are you in love, sir?" Princess Diana's beaming.
And I suppose in love.
Of course.
Whatever in love means.
Well, it
obviously
means,
your own interpretation.
Obviously means two very happy people.
Yes.
Once again, congratulations.
Well, from us, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Very kind.
And she looks at him as if to say, "What are you talking about? Don't you know what love is?" That was the problem from the beginning. Charles didn't really know what love was.
When Lady Diana Spencer married Prince Charles in 1981, the world was captivated. The young and shy Diana seemed to embody the perfect fairy tale princess, stepping into a global spotlight with grace. The wedding was a grand spectacle, watched by millions, and many believed it marked the beginning of a royal love story. But beneath the surface, cracks in their relationship were already forming.
I think after Harry was born, the relationship seriously broke down. It just hadn't worked out like both of them expected, and even before the wedding, Diana had serious doubts, and so did Charles. Charles's friends, his close friends, warned him, "This is not going to work, Charles. She's too young, she's too naive, and you're an imaginary prince. She doesn't know you at all."
The pressures of royal life quickly began to wear on Diana. Thrust into a role she was unprepared for, she found herself isolated despite her immense popularity. Diana's emotional struggles intensified when she discovered Charles's long-standing relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. Camilla had been a significant figure in Charles's life before Diana, and it became clear that his feelings for her had never waned. As Charles grew more distant, Diana became trapped in a lonely and emotionally desolate marriage. The fairy tale image of their union crumbled, even as Diana worked hard to present a composed and glamorous face to the world. Privately, however, she struggled with feelings of inadequacy and rejection. battles that manifested in her well-documented struggle with bulimia.
The only secret Diana ever kept from me was the Martin Bashir interview for Panorama. I was sent home on a Sunday afternoon. Strange, I thought. Why would she be sending me home? Go and spend some time with your family. I'm doing nothing this afternoon. Don't worry about me. The next morning I came to work, I noticed all the furniture had been moved. Why have you moved the furniture? It's not in the same place. I had a dance class. I had to move the furniture out of the way just so that we could exercise. Strange, very strange. She avoided me for the next 2 days, never spoke to me. And then she told me that she'd made a recording with Martin Bashir for Panorama. What have you said? Well, I just put the record straight, she said.
I think every strong woman in history has had to walk down a similar path, and I think it's the strength that causes the confusion and the fear. Why is she strong? Where does she get it from? Where is she taking it? Where is she going to use it?
Something like 31 million people stopped in their tracks on that Monday night and couldn't believe what they were seeing. The Princess of Wales bearing her heart on national television. We couldn't take our eyes away from it. We couldn't believe what we were hearing.
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
Diana's candidness sent shockwaves through the royal family and the public, marking a turning point in the breakdown of her marriage. This moment revealed the extent of her heartache and loneliness, and for many, it signalled the inevitable end of their union. During this turbulent period, Diana sought companionship elsewhere, engaging in relationships with men like James Hewitt and James Gilby. However, the intense media scrutiny that followed her every move complicated these romances. Diana could not escape the relentless spotlight, making it nearly impossible for her to form meaningful connections.
In the summer of '92, a recording of Diana speaking to one of her friends, who actually was her lover, James Gilby, appeared in one of the newspapers. The transcript of this recording was unbelievable.
Fergie said to me today, she said, I sat next to Nigel Havers the other day and all we could talk about was you. And I said, Fergie, how awful for you? She said, oh, don't worry, the Admiration Club. A lot of people talk to her about me, which she can't help.
No.
Her at all.
I tell you, I think she's desperate to tag on to your coattails.
Well, she can't.
No, she absolutely can't seem to make that quite clear.
If you want to be like me, you've got to suffer.
It was an extraordinary, explosive moment. And really, there was very little that the Queen could do after that. The Queen realised that this couldn't go on, because it was taking up all the news, and there were important things happening. The monarchy has no power, they only have influence, and at this moment it was their shenanigans that were making the news, which is completely wrong. And she was very concerned about the institution of the monarchy with all this scandal going on. She thought there's only one thing to do, and the Queen is head of the church, and the last thing she wants is a divorce. And so she must have thought about it very, very carefully, and decided that that was the only way forward.
Diana's yearning for love and acceptance was palpable. Despite her global fame and adoration, she longed for an authentic connection, something that was hard to find within the constraints of royal life. The breakdown of her marriage had left her searching for something real, away from the public eye and the pressures of her title. This search for genuine love sets the stage for Diana's eventual meeting with Hasnat Khan. After enduring a deeply troubled marriage and numerous failed relationships under the harsh gaze of the media, Diana began to seek something different, a relationship that offered her peace, privacy, and a sense of normalcy. The unravelling of her marriage to Charles had not only marked the end of a royal fairy tale, but also pushed Diana toward the possibility of finding a true and lasting connection outside the royal circle. In 1995, Princess Diana's life was a chaotic swirl of public appearances, media scrutiny, and personal turmoil. But amidst the noise, she found an unexpected quiet love in a man far removed from the world of royalty, Pakistani heart surgeon Hasnat Khan. Their relationship, shrouded in secrecy, represented Diana's longing for a genuine connection, something rooted in trust, privacy, and normalcy.
Towards the end of her life, of course, she found her soulmate. Her soulmate was Hasnat Khan. Hasnat Khan had been the princess's companion for over 2 years. Nobody knew about Hasnat Khan. That was not played out on the world stage. I was the one that went out with my car, brought people back to Kensington Palace in the back seat of my car underneath a blanket, just to give the princess some love. All she was ever looking for was to be loved. She used to say to me, all I ever want, Paul, is a man to put their arms around me and say, I love you. That's not too much to ask, is it? And that's what she was searching for.
Diana first crossed paths with Hasnat at the Royal Brompton Hospital, where she was visiting a friend recovering from surgery. Dr. Hasnat Khan, however, was absorbed in his work and took no special notice of the world's most famous woman. For a princess who was accustomed to being the centre of attention, this nonchalant indifference was disarming and, as Diana reportedly found, irresistibly attractive. According to witnesses, Khan offered her nothing more than a polite nod as he went about his business. Diana, used to being fawned over, was intrigued by his grounded, unpretentious demeanour. Hasnat Khan was not a man of spectacle or glamour. Born in Jhelum, Pakistan, and raised in a middle-class Muslim family belonging to the Pathan tribe, he grew up with deeply rooted cultural values. His academic and professional achievements were stellar, earning his PhD at Imperial College, as well as degrees in medicine and surgery, and ultimately becoming a Fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons. But despite these accolades, he remained humble, focusing on saving lives rather than basking in fame. This grounded nature contrasted sharply with Diana's highly public existence, and it was this difference that drew her to him. Diana's early attempts to attract Hasnat's attention became something of a quiet game. She found reasons to visit the hospital more often, striking up conversations with patients and medical staff, all while hoping to catch a glimpse of the elusive heart surgeon.
Hasnat Khan was a heart doctor, and Diana loved doctors, and she was fascinated by the human body and how it worked, and she loved healing and saving lives. So she was at the Brompton Hospital, which she used to visit at very odd hours, sometimes in the middle of the night, and she'd been doing a little round of visits there, just involuntary, not announced or anything. And she got into the lift with Hasnat Khan, and she just looked at him and thought, "You're wonderful." And then she pursued him, and eventually she got him.
What set Hasnat apart from Diana's previous relationships was the quiet, genuine love that formed between them. It wasn't tainted by the weight of her royal obligations or the constant presence of the media. For Diana, Hasnat represented something she had always craved: an intimate connection based on mutual trust, sincerity, and the ordinary rhythms of life. Their love unfolded away from the spotlight with secret meetings and carefully guarded rendezvous. Diana even disguised herself during outings with Hasnat, once donning a black wig and glasses for an evening at Ronnie Scott's jazz club. However, this relationship wasn't without its obstacles. Hasnat's conservative Muslim background presented cultural and familial challenges. His family, deeply rooted in tradition, disapproved of the relationship, and Diana faced the complexities of bridging their two worlds. Yet, she remained committed to making it work. She made efforts to understand his culture, learning about his life in Pakistan, and even considering conversion to Islam. Diana visited Pakistan on multiple occasions, becoming close to Hasnat's friends and family, including cricket legend Imran Khan and his wife Jemima. Their love, though intense, had to navigate the tension between Diana's yearning for a normal life and her royal responsibilities. The media's relentless pursuit of Diana eventually extended to Hasnat, with reporters slowly uncovering details of their romance. But Diana was determined to shield their relationship from the public eye. She used fake names like Dr. Armani when calling him at the hospital, and found joy in the simple moments they shared, like Hasnat bringing her takeovers to Kensington Palace, or Diana sneaking into his call room at the hospital for stolen nights together. Diana was deeply serious about Hasnat, and she made efforts to support his career, hoping they could one day build a peaceful life away from the royal glare. According to reports, she even dreamed of moving abroad with him, far from the pressures of the British tabloids. On July 4th, 1996, the day she was finally granted a divorce from Prince Charles, Diana wore a traditional ivory shalwar kameez, symbolic of her love for Hasnat and her new chapter in life. With him, Diana had found a love that was simple and pure, a love that made her feel truly fulfilled for the first time in years. This relationship, unlike any Diana had before, was rooted in emotional depth and trust. Hasnat Khan, the man who cared nothing for titles or fame, was the secret love of her life, the one who gave her the genuine connection she had long desired, away from the relentless public spotlight. As Princess Diana and Dr. Hasnat Khan's relationship deepened, so did the obstacles that would eventually drive them apart. Their intense connection, built on shared values of privacy and sincerity, became strained by media pressure, cultural differences, and the contrasting realities of their lives. Diana, as one of the most famous women in the world, could not escape constant media attention. The paparazzi relentlessly followed her, and Hasnat, a private man dedicated to his quiet life as a heart surgeon, had no desire to be part of the chaos.
He was very, very worried that the press would get hold of it, and he couldn't deal with that. He just couldn't. But the press didn't really believe it. They thought he was overweight, he didn't look that attractive. There was lots of pictures of him walking down the street eating Kentucky Fried Chicken. It was because he was very, very busy. And I'd written something in the Daily Mail about her smuggling people into Kensington Palace under a blanket in the back of her Paul Burrell's car. And she thought I knew about her relationship with Hasnat Khan, and she was terrified. That hadn't got out at the time. And she knew if it got out that it would destroy the relationship.
Their relationship became public when the Sunday Mirror revealed their romance, thrusting Hasnat into the spotlight. Diana, under pressure, responded by granting an interview to the Daily Mail, where she denied their relationship. This public denial hurt Hasnat deeply. It wasn't just the lie that wounded him, but the realization that the media attention he dreaded was now unavoidable. The constant scrutiny only deepened his fears about their future together. Compounding the tension was the disapproval from Hasnat's family. Despite their love for each other, Hasnat faced immense pressure from his relatives, particularly over cultural differences. His family, steeped in traditional values, could not envision him marrying the British royal icon. His father, Dr. Rashid Khan, publicly stated that Diana was not suitable for marriage, explaining that their son needed a Pakistani Muslim woman from a respectable upper-middle-class family. It became clear that Diana would never be accepted into their family. Despite these challenges, Diana remained determined. In May 1997, she flew to Pakistan without informing Hasnat and met his family in Lahore. Although they were polite, it was evident that her charm and status weren't enough to sway them. Hasnat's mother was firm in her belief that their relationship would not lead to marriage. Diana, driven by her love for Hasnat, began to realise that these cultural barriers were too great. Her efforts to understand his world, including seeking advice from Jemima Khan on navigating Pakistani culture, were ultimately unsuccessful. Hasnat's doubts and his family's resistance became insurmountable obstacles. For Diana, who had endured years of emotional turmoil, stability and commitment were essential. She longed for a love that could provide her with the security she craved. Hasnat, whom she loved deeply, couldn't give her that stability. His desire to avoid the public eye left her feeling abandoned at times. Despite their emotional connection, the gap between their worlds was too wide to bridge. The final break came in the summer of 1997. For Hasnat, the pressures surrounding their relationship had become overwhelming. He realised that a marriage to Diana would drastically change his life in ways he wasn't prepared for. As he later explained, "My main concern about us getting married was that my life would be difficult because of who she was." He also worried that if they had children, they would never have the chance to live a normal life, something he found hard to accept. By mid-1997, their relationship was crumbling. Diana's decision to join Mohammed Al Fayed on his yacht, where she met his son Dodi, further strained their already fragile bond. On July 10th, Hasnat had spent the night with Diana at Kensington Palace, but by the end of the month, she was photographed with Dodi on the Jonacul, fueling rumours of a new romance. Ultimately, Diana and Hasnat's relationship was a casualty of external pressures and incompatible lifestyles. Though their love was real, the overwhelming forces of media intrusion, cultural differences, and conflicting desires were too powerful to overcome. Their story ended in heartbreak, just weeks before Diana's tragic death. In the summer of 1997, the world watched as Princess Diana embarked on what appeared to be a whirlwind romance with Dodi Fayed, the wealthy Egyptian film producer and son of billionaire Mohammed Al Fayed.
Diana and Dodi met long before 1997. They met at various events, film premieres, at the polo, at the horse show, the sort of places that people of their kind would meet at. When they actually fell in love in the summer of 1997, they were already friends. And then, of course, they were together in the south of France, and a relationship which was already established became a deeper and closer relationship. And when they came back to London, they'd already made arrangements to get in touch with each other. They met and they started seeing each other, and it all went on from there.
The media coverage was relentless, with photos of Diana and Dodi on his family's yacht filling headlines. But for those close to Diana, this relationship was far more complex than it seemed on the surface. Dodi Fayed had been introduced into Diana's life through his father's invitation to join them on their yacht in the Mediterranean. At the time, Diana was emotionally vulnerable, having recently ended her intense secret relationship with heart surgeon Hasnat Khan. Some of her friends believed she was still emotionally tied to Hasnat even as she stepped into this new, very public relationship with Dodi.
Did you know that the romance of the princess and Dodi Al Fayed was 30 days from beginning to end? I spoke to her regularly when she was away. Have you seen Hasnat? I said, yes, I went for a drink with him last night. What does he think of me being here in the south of France with Dodi Fayed? Well, he's not too pleased. Has he seen the pictures in the papers? Yes, he has, because you know his routine. You know every morning he goes to the corner shop and sees the press. You know that. And I know that's what you're doing. You're manipulating the world's media by having these pictures taken to show Hasnat who you're with. That's what Diana was saying to Hasnat Khan through those pictures in the world's media.
To the world, Diana and Dodi appeared to be madly in love, but insiders suggest something different. Diana's relationship with Dodi may have been less about true love and more about distraction. Friends of Diana, like Rosa Monckton, later said they believed Diana was using her time with Dodi to make Hasnat jealous. The luxury vacations, lavish yacht trips and constant media attention were almost too perfectly orchestrated. Diana knew that her every move was being watched, and perhaps by stepping into this glamorous romance with Dodi, she hoped to provoke a response from Hasnat.
I knew Dodi, and he was probably one of the most charming people you could ever meet. And he's also rather cool, had an American accent, beautifully dressed, and he treated Diana like the princess she was. Nobody else had treated her like that. I mean, with Hasnat Khan, she had to sort of hide him at the back of her car, and they had to, they mostly ate in, or if they went out, she was in disguise. But with Dodi, she could show herself off. I think she liked him very much. I don't know if she was in love with him, but she was in love with the idea of him. I think Diana wanted to get married again, and she wanted to have another child. Again, I think getting married again probably was a bit of a fantasy. Certainly getting married to the doctor that she was in love with was a fantasy, because it would never have worked out. It couldn't have worked for him. But she did want to get married again, very much so. In a way, I think she wanted to find someone that could work with her. In a way that it was what she'd hoped for when she married Prince Charles.
On July 10th, 1997, the night before she went to Saint-Tropez, Hasnat stayed with her at Kensington Palace. When Diana went to Saint-Tropez with Mr. Al-Fayed, everything was fine between us, Hasnat told police, investigating her death. After a few days, I felt something was wrong. Her mobile kept going on to answer phone. When she returned home, Diana met Hasnat in Battersea Park. He recalled how she was not her usual self. He told her he thought she had met someone else, and it must be someone with a connection to Al-Fayed. She denied there was anyone else. They arranged to meet the following day at Kensington Palace. It was during this meeting that Diana told Hasnat it was over. He recalls saying to her, "You are dead," meaning her reputation was dead. He said this because he was sure Thatch was involved with Mohammed Al-Fayed's group, and that was how he felt about anyone involved with them. Princess Diana and her close friend Rosa Monckton took a private cruise together in mid-August 1997, shortly after returning from a second holiday with Dodi. From August 15th to August 20th, they sailed around the Greek islands for 5 days aboard Monckton's yacht. Since it was such a small boat and nobody knew the Princess of Wales was on board, Rosa claims that the media did not follow them while they were on their trip. During the trip, Diana told her friend that the relationship with Hasnat was over. Dodi was going to give her a ring, but she said it was going firmly on her right hand. Diana's friend said that the relationship had broken down because of Diana's frustration with Hasnat. He wouldn't agree to marry her or even take the relationship public. Dodi was designed to make him jealous. 20th August, Diana arrives in the French Riviera. It is here where the photographs that were shown across the world were taken. The clear message: Diana was in love, and this time for real.
When are you coming home? I'm coming home on Sunday, Paul. I'm just bored. I'm on this boat. It's freezing cold downstairs. It's boiling hot on deck. I'm sending these pictures out, and nobody's coming back to me. The only way I can get home is via Paris, because Dodi has to go to Paris to do some business for his father. How is he with you? Oh, he's very spoiling. He's given me a necklace, some earrings. He's given me a watch. I said, you know what's coming next, don't you? He's going to give you a ring.
On Saturday, August 30th, 1997, Diana and Dodi headed to Paris, neither of them knowing the tragic events that laid ahead.
The princess, who was sitting alongside, suffered terrible chest injuries.
We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been in a car accident.
Where they were involved in some kind of collision, we don't know with what or...
This is what's left of the Mercedes in which the Princess of Wales and her companion were being driven back to his house.
Just to confirm the news that Diana, Princess of Wales, has died in a car accident.
The tragic death of Princess Diana on August 31st, 1997, sent shockwaves around the world. As news of the fatal car crash in Paris spread, millions mourned the loss of the people's princess, a woman who had captured hearts with her compassion, grace, and vulnerability. But for Hasnat Khan, the man many believed was Diana's true love, her death was more than a public tragedy. It was a deeply personal and heartbreaking loss. Diana's relationship with Dodi Fayed had captured the media's attention during the summer of 1997. However, behind the glamorous headlines, Diana's heart was still tethered to Hasnat Khan. Her relationship with Dodi, as many of her close friends believed, was less about love and more about moving on from the intense emotional connection she had with Hasnat. Some even speculated that Diana was trying to make Hasnat jealous, frustrated that he had not committed to a public future with her. In a cruel twist of fate, the very force that drove Diana and Hasnat apart, the relentless attention of the paparazzi, would also contribute to her untimely death. On that fateful night in Paris, Diana and Dodi were pursued by photographers as their car sped through the city streets, ultimately leading to the crash that claimed their lives.
It's now the 31st of August, the late hours. I just returned from the theatre. And the phone rings. It's Lucia Fletcher de Lima, the Brazilian ambassador's wife in Washington. She said, Paul, CNN have just reported the princess is in an accident in Paris. Can you find out more? You've got her mobile number. I don't have it. Ring her. And it rang and rang and rang. And I thought that's strange because in those days, mobile phones were in their infancy, but she always carried it with her. I didn't know that it was just ringing out on a marble top inside the suite at the Ritz in Paris. I had no idea where this phone was. First, we'd heard the princess had had head injuries and broken her arm. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, we heard that the injuries were more serious than they first thought. And it wasn't until about 3 o'clock that they told us that the accident had been fatal. And I was on the first flight to Paris the next morning. So early Sunday morning, I arrived in Paris and was taken straight by the British ambassador, taken to the hospital. And I remember going into the elevator, and the elevator doors opening on the first floor, and looking down the corridor and seeing two gendarmes stood outside of a door. And I thought, that's where she is. So I was led, not to that room, but to the room next door, where I waited for a while with an Anglican priest and a Roman Catholic priest. Nurse Humbert was the French nurse on duty, small, petite nurse that could only speak broken English. And she came to me and said, "Paul, would you like to go in to see the princess?" I said, "Yes, I would." I stared for a while in disbelief, and I watched the fan whirring on the side of the bed table. And as it moved the princess's hair, and I could see her eyelashes moving. And I took her hand and said, "Wake up. You're asleep, aren't you? Wake up."
The media's obsession with Diana's love life, particularly her romance with Dodi, had turned deadly. And for Hasnat, this was a devastating reminder of the price Diana paid for her fame. Although they had broken up, there was an undeniable bond between them, one rooted in trust and a shared desire for a normal private life. Reports suggest that Hasnat had hoped to reconcile with Diana, and that he still cared deeply for her.
I didn't find out until recently that he called her the day before she died on her mobile phone. He called her to try and patch up their relationship. Had she returned to London, I truly believe the romance between Hasnat Khan and the princess would have been rekindled. It was too strong. It was too deep. They were true soulmates.
While many of Diana's friends grieved publicly, Hasnat chose to mourn in his own quiet way. Though he did attend the funeral, he arrived alone, keeping a low profile amidst the global outpouring of sorrow. His quiet presence at the service, away from the media's spotlight, reflected his deep respect for Diana and his desire to honour her in a manner true to the private nature of their relationship. It was a final silent tribute from the man who had once been the love of her life. Though he could have written a book or given countless interviews to profit from his relationship with Diana, he chose to stay silent for years. It wasn't until much later that he spoke in just a couple of interviews, a decision that speaks volumes about his character.
When she came to Pakistan, this was a country that she had fond memories of, wasn't it?
Yes, I think she enjoyed her time here. She really liked the days she spent here, I think.
And meeting your family, that must have been a special moment for her and for them.
I think it definitely was for my family, and I think she enjoyed the afternoon tea with them. I think that's a long time ago now, 1996, I think.
What do you hope this inquest will establish? I mean, what are the most important things you would like people to be aware of at the end of all of this?
I hope it settles all the questions which have been asked. And for me, I think it's important that this is the end of it, and people can move on. And because it just keeps coming back, every year, or sometimes twice a year. And I think that's what I would like to see. This inquest will establish an end to it.
Years after his relationship with Diana ended, Hasnat Khan sought a more private life, continuing his work as a dedicated heart surgeon. In 2006, he married Hadia Sher Ali, a woman from a prominent Afghan family, but their marriage lasted only 18 months before they divorced. Though Hasnat has always shied away from the media spotlight, he continues to make a meaningful impact in his field. Now living in Essex, he remains dedicated to his work as a heart surgeon in the UK. Beyond his professional practice, Hasnat has also been deeply involved in humanitarian efforts, providing life-saving medical care in countries like Saudi Arabia, his native Pakistan, and other regions in need. His commitment to helping others reflects the shared values that once connected him and Diana, their genuine care for people and desire to make a difference. In many ways, Hasnat's charitable work serves as a continuation of Diana's legacy, honouring the compassion and dedication they both held so dear. For Diana, who had spent much of her life in search of true affection, Hasnat represented something rare. A genuine connection, untainted by the pressures of royal life or public opinion. Though their relationship ultimately faltered under the weight of cultural differences and Hasnat's desire for privacy, it left an indelible mark on both their lives. In the end, the very thing Diana sought to escape, relentless media attention, was what claimed her life. The paparazzi, who had hounded her every move, became a tragic symbol of the price she paid for being so publicly adored. Yet, in her final years, Diana's search for love was also a search for peace. And while her relationship with Dodi Fayed dominated the headlines in the days leading up to her death, it was Hasnat Khan who many believe held her heart until the very end. Princess Diana's life, filled with contradictions and complexities, remains a poignant reminder of the human need for love and connection. Her legacy, marked by her compassion for others and her vulnerability, endures as a symbol of grace under pressure. For Hasnat Khan, the man who shared her private world, the story of their love remains a bittersweet chapter in the life of a woman who was loved by millions, but longed for just one person to truly see her.